Voila! Where are you?
Okay, so I'm in Sussex, which is in the south of England, and I'm in a friend's derelict greenhouse where I'm hoping to be able to set up a studio.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're going to move into gardening?
No, for me, a greenhouse is the best expression of space, you know, so luminous and so fertile and so full of possibilities. So I'm trying to find a future in what's not a very good situation right now. So this is an unused greenhouse. You can see everything's dead, but I reckon over the next couple of months I can start to make some life here again.
So will you do it by yourself, or you will have someone helping you?
I don't know. I mean, it's a new idea, right?
I know, me too. I wish I was there. I love doing gardening, not with great success, but...
I need all the help I can get, look.
So, Tom, what has changed in your daily life since the lockdown?
Well, everything's changed from a work perspective. We're now in a position where we've had to put 200 people into different situations. Obviously, some people have had to be let go. Some people are on government schemes, and some people are working on a 40% off, like 3 days a week. So it's been a really tough time for everybody in the company. I mean, it was most obvious with the restaurant that we have, where from one day to the other, all the life was taken out of our building, which is the restaurant. But of course, we saw it coming for a long time because we have some sub-supply in China. We've also got a shop in China and one in Hong Kong. So we knew it was coming. And then, of course, we've got also a restaurant shop next door to yours in Milan. So we saw that coming. So it was less of a surprise for this English person than it was for a lot of other people.
But don't you feel like these kind of things happen to others and you sympathize, but really they're never so real until they start hitting you directly? I don't know, for us it's been like this. We were also in China, but somehow we never really felt it until boom was there. No? We kind of first there was denial, and after minimization, and suddenly was too late. So how did you live it, this situation in UK?
Well, obviously you never think it's going to happen to you, but at least there was some proper warning signs, but it doesn't really prepare you for everything stopping and your liberty being restricted. So I think it gives you some sympathy for people where that's actually a normal state of the everyday, people who have much more serious restrictions. I mean, everybody's comparing it to a war, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as a proper war right now. I think the consequences are going to be for years, though, right?
Of course. But Tom, this forced isolation is giving you more time to think, or it's kind of your... What's changed more in your creative and thinking process in this moment?
Well, I was kind of expecting to have lots of free time to become less digital and more hands-on again. I mean, the reality is I spend my whole time on the phone like now. You know?
Okay, thank you. I love you.
And it's not that I'm complaining, it's that my screen time, which you can measure, obviously, has doubled or tripled. And people seem to enjoy particularly large groups on all kinds of platforms, you know, Zoom and Teams and everything else. And so I've spent more time in front of the computer than I ever have before. So my fantasies about, you know, practicing calligraphy, painting, music, gardening, everything have gone out the window. So I'm sure there's an initial burst of communication, and then people will settle into actually doing something.
Okay, so let's. I'm not sure if that means, Sarah, I have to go, but I would not leave you. I'm not going to leave you so soon. I'm really curious. I learned so much from you in these years because you always come out with ideas that are really out of the box. I think the greenhouse is one. Again, you surprise me in always the good way. So what do you think is going to change after coronavirus? What will you do different, if anything?
Well, I don't think, like a lot of these things, there's no sharp divide between before and after. I think it'll be a slow transition back to some kind of normality, but things will be different in terms of the amount of money that people have to spend, what they'll decide to spend it on, and also it'll be a very, very slow return to normality. So what I'm trying to think about is a sort of interim. I mean, we can already see now, for instance, in Wuhan, people going back to traveling and some of the barricades coming down. We saw in Austria the day before yesterday that small shops will be open again in 2 weeks. In Denmark, that schools will be going back. So there is some kind of trajectory that we can measure, and I think that people will avoid wanting to be in large groups. I think that we'll have to become more mobile and more flexible and more fluid in the way that we sell things and we promote things, and even how we make things as well. So I think that there's a sort of interim period where we have to completely change the way that we do our business, and it requires us being more reactive to specific dates when things are allowed to be done again. So I think even right now, the idea that people have been locked in for so long means that there'll be a real hunger for some types of social interaction, but much reduced, not the big concerts or the big exhibitions, or the big communal things, but smaller groups of people. So I'm thinking about that specifically for the restaurant, for instance, which is, our restaurant in London is a very compact space where people enjoyed being very close together. I think for a year or so, people will be a bit nervous about that situation.
And from a creative point of view, so do you feel like you want to do something small, big, being so much time at home? Are you reconsidering the way that the house should be? We've never been so long at home, at least I've never been so long at home, and I'm suddenly looking at things that I would like to do different in my home, or not really. The home would become again a place where you go and you sleep, and after you're out again.
No, I think that, just from a kind of economics perspective, people will, whether that's companies or individuals, will be reconsidering the amount of money they spend and time they spend traveling to work. I think that once people have practiced doing business, a deconstructed business, where people don't have to come into the office, that becomes quite an attractive cost-saving measure in terms of rental, in terms of travel, in terms of how people are organized. So I don't doubt that this accelerates what was happening already, but that becomes also a problem for all of us that have physical shops as well. Is that how do you get people back into spaces, and how do you get people off the digital media, and which is so convenient, the delivery service and the rest of it, and get them to really enjoy physical spaces again. So I think there will be a change in people's behaviors, and some of that will be forced, like I say, by economics. The fact is that companies will have lost a third or a half of their yearly revenue at the very least, right?
And this is an interesting point, because the question for me is, we sell luxury handbags, and in this moment where the superfluous is somehow not goes in a second place, is like, what do you think people are looking for, and what is relevant for them in this moment?
That's
complicated.
a big question.
But
No,
that's the big question. It's the question I'm making myself every single day. It's like, what's going to happen tomorrow?
well, I think that's the big question everybody's asking, right? But I don't think anybody has the singular answer, and it really depends on your circumstances. People that have a garden are much better off than people in apartments, you know. So everybody has a very different scenario and a very different answer to that question. So I don't know what people are looking for. People are looking for liberty again. I think the idea that you're restricted in the way that you're restricted now. Some people get angry. Some people get depressed. And I hope that people will come out valuing, you know, fairly simple liberties, you know.